Part 1. The Trailer. Elsplash recently revealed the trailer for the Archives update in Roblox Doors. In this part, we discover the trailer broken up into pieces. Let's do it. Found my recorded video. We see the Doorsman rolling the TV out. TV turns off. I think those are the CDs. Then the books fall out. We can nearly see the face, but I think it's a new entity. This is the journal from the short. It says, "Why am I here?" I see a coffee maker. Cushion chairs. How did I get here? Sticky notes, this is an entity. These are puddles in the archives. Where is here? This is random if you get a different number. If you pause, it will say your items will be gone in the game. This looks like it was left for 100 years. Who am I? I am Bacon Blocks. Okay, I didn't do good on that one, so.
After waiting months for the Roblox Doors Archives trailer, it is finally released. And today, I'm going to be going over everything there is to know in this trailer. So be sure to stay tuned as there are many features, items, and even entities that people haven't even noticed. Now, I'm not going to waste your time, so let's go ahead and dive headfirst into the brand new Roblox Doors Archives trailer. So let me explain. Start of this trailer, we can see the camera slowly pan into room 60. Now, if you didn't know, this is currently the room inside of the hotel which allows you to enter the room's subfloor. And we know that the archive subfloor will be replacing the room subfloor. So you will probably still need the skeleton key and the 2 lockpicks in order to enter the archives. Anyways, the camera switches to a door sign in the archives that reads SO13. Now, throughout the trailer, we can see many different letters being used. And of course, we still don't know how the rooms are really going to work in the archives, but that's okay. However, next up, we can see the iconic Doorsman pushing the TV. We can also notice that Doorsman takes out the DVD out of the DVD player, and sets it on top of a table with many other discs. It is not clear whether or not the disc will have any gameplay use, however it has been theorized by many players that these discs will have some gameplay functionality. However, on the table we can notice the camera that was seen in the thumbnail for the trailer. We can also see many pieces of paper scattered throughout the table. However, as Doorsman is walking, he notices a faint sound playing in the distance. Also, if you look in the door frame, you can see a faint red color. And if you've ever played The Rooms before, you know that this is more than likely a 60. So of course, Doorsman has to find somewhere to hide quick. So he rushes over to a bookshelf and throws all the books out and hides inside of it. Anyways, when Doorsman is hiding in the bookshelf, for a split second, we can get a very small glimpse at A60. Now, keep in mind that A60 will probably receive a rename for this subfloor, similar to how A90 is becoming Ransom, but more on that later. Now, next up, we can see a journal being dropped onto a table. Now, if you don't recognize this journal, it is the same journal we were shown a while ago as a teaser. And if you haven't seen that teaser, here it is. So as you can see, this journal is obviously coming in the Archives update, and this journal will finally give us some lore about Roblox doors. Anyways, the journal opens up and we can see that there is writing. The first sentence reads, "Why am I here?" Then the video cuts to gameplay footage of the Archives subfloor. We can see that there will be side rooms in the Archives with many office areas. Also, once the player opens this door, we can see a coffee maker inside of this room. Keep that in mind for later. And then we can get an even better look at the Archives subfloor and all of the different objects and decorations that will be present. Now get ready for this next clip because there's a lot to go over. So in this clip, we can see a player pushing another player around on an office chair. It seems like it will require two people to work. One person sitting in the chair and the other pushing. However, nothing is confirmed. Also, something notable is that the player is holding a shake light, aka a gummy flashlight. So these flashlights will obviously be making a return in the Archives. Also in this clip, we can see this odd looking creature in the corner of the room. It is not attacking or interacting with the players at all, it is just simply standing there. We can also see many other of these creatures over here on the right hiding in their office cubicles. Now the last thing in this clip is over here. We can see this player running with what seems to be a coffee cup in their hand. Suddenly they go up to this coffee machine and seem to refill their cup. We could also see a coffee machine in that past clip. So I think that we will be able to find coffee cups around the Archives and we can refill them at coffee machines. Now let's go back to the journal. So the second sentence in the journal asks, "How did I get here?" Then the video switches to more Archives gameplay. We can see here a player going through drawers and looking up at a computer and seeing Ransom, aka A90, on the screen. And based off of the outline from the keyboard, it seems that we will be able to interact with the keyboard. We will probably have to do something on the computer to get rid of Ransom. In the next clip, we can get a look at these weird creatures that we saw previously. They all come in many different shapes and sizes, but they are all black figures with sticky notes for eyes. Also, we can notice that Doorsman is holding a paper water cup. These are very common in office areas and are used for water dispensers. So it is likely that we will be able to find water dispensers around the Archives and get water using these water cups. In the next clip, we can see a room with water all over the floor. We can even see wet floor signs in the corner of the room. However, wait. Did you notice that? There seems to be a very menacing and mysterious entity by the door. Later in the trailer, we will receive a better look at them. Back to the journal once again, the last sentence on this journal page reads, "Where is here?" Then the video cuts to a clip of the Forget-Me-Nots that we saw all the way back in the teaser trailer. But wait, there's something we missed at the beginning of this clip. For a split second, if you look at the bottom right, we can see what seems to be a train? Maybe this train train could take us to different areas of the archives. Next, we can see a room with orange lighting. I'm not sure what the reason for the orange lighting is. Maybe drop your theories down in the comments below. Also, in the next clip, we can see the players using the escalator. This is also something that we were shown in the archives teaser trailer. Next, we can see Redibles in a dark room using the gummy flashlight. And in the next clip, we can see both players with tickets with their numbers on it. We also saw something to do with numbers in a previous archives teaser. Next, we can see a mirror room, and we can see a player approach the mirror with what seems to be a pizza slice in their hand. We also already saw a teaser of this item from Jasper Creations on Twitter. And next, we can finally get a look at Ransom's new attack. We can see many computer windows pop up on the player's screen. Some windows are even titled Ransom. However, if we pause the very last frame of this clip, we can see a window that reveals how Ransom will work. In this window, it says your items have been encrypted. If you do not pay the ransom before the timer ends, your items will be unrecoverable by any means. And we can see down here that the ransom is 500 gold. Also, the timer reads 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is actually 90 seconds. And of course, that is a reference to A90. So anyways, Ransom will hold a ransom to your items if you cannot stop them somehow. Now, in the next scene, we can see Honcho walking, and in the background, we can see gold on the floor, which means that we will still be able to find gold on the floor. Now, in this scene, we can see paper airplanes on the ground, and we can even see one fly by the player's face. And when the player looks up, even Doorsman is holding a paper airplane. A very small feature, but it seems like we will be able to throw paper airplanes in the archive. Also, in this clip, there is a lot to unpack. So, on the left, we can see this player covering up their head and leaning down. Now, I have two theories for as to why they'd be doing this. My first theory is that whenever Ransom attacks you, all the other players will see your character leaning down and covering up their head. Now, my second theory seems more likely. Now, believe it or not, I actually believe that a whole new player mechanic will be added into the archives, that being sanity. Now, you might think that this is pretty far-fetched, but there will be more evidence for this later on in the trailer. Anyways, we can also see a player sitting down on a chair. Now, it could be possible that players will finally be able to take seats on furniture indoors, or maybe this is just for the trailer. Now, for this next scene, we can see this player with a gummy flashlight standing in front of the screened box. Now, I think it's pretty obvious, but this is more than likely where the players will be able to obtain a gummy flashlight. Next, we can finally get a good look at the monster that was in the wet floor room. We can see it has a monitor on their head that reads, "Now serving 12." This could also have something to do with the number tickets that we saw earlier on in the trailer. Lastly, we get a look at an overgrown room. Now, I have seen many people theorize that the World Lotus entity has something to do with this, however, I'm not too sure. Finally, for one last look at the journal, the last page reads, "Who am I?" Suddenly, it seems as if Doorsman is actually going insane. Then, he rips out the page from the journal and slams the book shut. However, it seems that the Doorsman has already gone insane. Then suddenly, this happens. Honcho bursts through the door and finds Doorsman, and that is why I think it is potentially possible for the player to go insane in the archives. Anyways, the footage cuts to the Curious Light saying, "Who got you this time?" Then we get a rewind of the trailer that we just saw along with all of the other archives teaser videos. Then it slowly zooms out of the static